Feels real bad.
We have a YouTube channel. It's a thing. I'll link it.
It's literally on the projector. That's what doesn't even make sense.
I did that. What? Never mind.
Oh. Lappy top. Do you have to restart? Did this computer go to sleep? Do you have to like re-enable the Elgato?
Oh yeah, you're live.
Yeah, but that's not.
Hey!
Did we do it? Make me
Takes a while.
Make me smaller.
Like week 2. Making changes in production.
That's how we do, boys.
That's how we do YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Wait, why is this not full screen anymore? Where the hell's my mouse? Oops. Feels really fucking bad. What? Hold on.
Because fifth makes me feel so much better about myself.
I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I was like, on average,
So, hey, Sean, hey, what's up? There are speaker notes on a handful of songs. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what I suck at presenting, dude. If you guys are just coming in, you can get the sign-in flag. We put it at like 3 spots on the board, free 10 points, so we get to know who's here, and then you get a little bit of a reward for coming early, or for coming to meeting, that is.
What's up? What? What did you do?
You can't.
That's gonna be your birthday now. That's gonna be your birthday.
You guys are fucking brutal. Is that like, enough yelling? Fight!
Fuck. Where's the song?
It's really weird because the delay has synced up the beats. So the beats are synced, but they're still delayed. It's really weird.
Well, no, there's a stream delay. There has to be a stream delay.
No, I know. I know that there's a stream delay. I'm just saying the delay of the beats syncs up with the real-time math.
Gotcha.
John, Laura doesn't like your default flag guy.
Who doesn't like that? Laura. I didn't make it.
Yes,
Oh,
you did.
that one. Yeah, I didn't make it. I'm sorry. My bad.
Don't put this on
Did you
me.
actually read? Did you read what this error was? Trying to submit flags not valid yet.
What do you mean not valid?
You're submitting week
All right.
3 flags.
Are you streaming?
That's this week.
Am I beautiful?
I'm having problems.
Yes,
I mean,
Oh, yeah, let's go! We're good. Got 100 on the quiz. Got 100 on that week 1 quiz! Let's go, Bryson! We did it! We just went from a 6% to 100%.
It's really nice.
Yeah!
It smells good.
Feels really good.
The hair stuff.
The hair stuff? Oh, yeah.
It's like way easier to use.
Video mine?
My stuff is like proper play, so it's like
legit or no?
really good.
yes.
And he couldn't submit it. When?
Week 1.
Like during week 1.
Like Friday of week 1. And around 9.
At night.
No, 8.
So he's
Hi,
trying to
Doug.
sign it before the week has started.
No, I'm saying
No, he submitted right before.
right before week 2 started.
Oh.
How do you like RIT so far?
The same thing with this week.
I should probably make an announcement about that. A couple people messaged me and I forgot who they were.
This week it works. I fixed it.
I know.
I mean, hey,
there's nothing he can do about it now. He messaged, like,
Talk about the videos I can open it.
he was saying that there is no submit button.
Yeah, because they had expired. And then I fixed that. Play. Yeah, see, I fixed this problem. Go to the help thing. Whatever, the demo.
Can we start? Or
Where's Don? Is it
where's
valid?
Don?
Is it valid to present from a chair?
I don't know how to talk to.
He also had a problem with week 1.
Yeah, he did.
Alright.
Can we start?
It's like somebody messaged Ohan.
Multiple someones.
Start.
That's why.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Terrible.
All right. Well, keep taking pictures. Fine.
Go ahead.
How's it going? Welcome back. Welcome back to week 3. Who's new? Show of hands. Who hasn't been here? Sure, you've been here. All right. Hey guys, welcome. So for those of you who don't know what RC3 is, we're the RIT Competitive Cybersecurity Club. We're a student-run organization. We're here to showcase your security talent and also just to teach you security from the basics to the more advanced things. At the end of every semester, we host the competition. So at the end of the fall semester, we host the Capture the Flag competition. Hour 1, we do announcements and the topic of the week. And then hour 2, we do challenges for you guys to complete, and then you get points, and you get prizes, and sponsors like that. Mike brought up a really good point last week. Should you take notes? You should make like a personal field guide for like commands that you're using and stuff. They're really helpful. We try to make our challenges kind of like real life-ish. So yeah, it's always good. It's always a good idea. And should you do the practices? Yes, because that's how you learn. And we'll be here to help you during the second hour. So sign into rc3.club. That's how we know how many members are coming every single week. So give you guys a few minutes to do that. It helps us know how many people are coming. It helps us like host our competitions, get sponsors, all that stuff. But while people are doing that, who saw the iPhone X thing? Who's gonna buy the iPhone X thing? All right, okay. Well, whatever. Cool. So, welcome and welcome back to RC3. So come talk to us on our Slack channel, ritc3.slack.com. Our website has been updated. Bryson's going to talk about that later. We did a lot of new UI things, so if you guys log in now at rc3.club, you'll see it. Our eBoard has decided that every single week we're going to drop like a hint, and it might not be as apparent as this week. So like so 2 weeks ago we had like did you do your homework, and that was like a tiny hint into the hard challenge. So yeah, make sure you sign up for the newsletter. It's at the bottom of rc3.club. Also, Joel and Ohan brought Answer back. We paired up with Witter, and we use really, like, not our laptop mics to record them now. So, you know, they're better. So listen to that. Listen at rc3.club.
What's Answer, Sean?
Answer's amateur news and security roundup. Basically, it's like a 30-minute podcast where Joel and Ohan go over like the week's news and like give their take on it, but we also answer questions. So if you ask a question there, we don't get to it by the end of this presentation, Joel and Ohan will answer it. So for example, last week Joel answered if he was single. I don't know who asked that, but that's a good question. Also this weekend is CTF weekend. That's Miter and Seesaw. So come through. We have pizza. Just come and do like a challenge or two. You learn a lot. You meet some of the members that can't make it, and that's hosted by Team Contagion, which is one of our interest groups. And also, we have a feedback link. I don't know if you guys can see that through the computers, but we have a feedback link. Click that. Tell us what you think about the week. Tell us what you think about how club meetings are going, how the website is, just whatever. We want to know what you're saying, what you're thinking. But I'll leave it to Bryson to tell you about what we did to the website this week.
Well, yeah, if you've been on there, Sean did actual UI changes this time, and mobile's not completely broken. So you can now put your browser on half your screen and it'll work. So that's always good. There's a few other small changes. Maybe you'll have an opinion on them, like Laura, and not like them. And you can let us know about that in hashtag site discussion on Slack. But otherwise, things should be working better now. And if you have any issues, like you can't submit flags, you know, find out that Ohan can't do UTC conversions and expires all the challenges early, let us know and we can fix them.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Also, eBoard wants to announce that we're opening up 2 junior positions. So there's junior tech lead and junior operations. Susan isn't here, but she's our operations lead, and Joel, raise your hand. Joel's our tech lead. He makes the weekly challenges every year. So if you want to sign up to be a junior tech lead or operations, you would be helping either Susan or Joel, not respectively, but the other way around. But nominate someone that you think would be a good spot for that, would be a good person for that spot, or nominate yourself. But go to that type form, do it. Yeah, what's up?
A short note, it's not an actual position, but if someone's interested in taking over the treasurer position, let me know, because I should probably start teaching people now. So if we get some ideas of who's interested, that'd be great.
Yeah, but definitely hit up Mike on Slack.
Not official.
Not if we don't.
One more note about the junior positions. You are technically not on eBoard, but you are on A board, and you are involved with the weekly challenges and activities. So this should probably go without saying, but you're not eligible for the weekly points. You can still do the challenges, I guess, but you're probably going to be helping, especially the junior tech lead is going to be making like half of them. So just thought I'd throw that out there because we do give prizes for the top 3 for the semester, but you'll be not eligible for that if you do this position. But it's still really good resume building, kind of like our scoreboard, so you should still do it.
Yeah. Joel was actually junior tech lead last semester, if you want to talk about that real quick. How was your experience as junior tech lead?
I was junior tech lead. Basically, if you want to be like a part of the magic that makes all of this happen,
and
but
get these.
you don't know if you can, you know, make the time commitment, or you're not sure like how much you can participate, or you have ideas but you don't feel like you're educated or whatever enough to be one of the e-board members, but you still want to help and you want to get involved. Being a junior like position is great. Junior tech lead helped me like be able to understand what's involved in being an e-board member, and as a junior tech lead, you'll help me create all the challenges that everybody else is doing. You'll get to create some yourself. You'll get to participate in coming up with the ideas, and all from start to finish, from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. when all the actual work happens. Yeah, if you're interested in junior tech lead and you want to know like more specifics, just hit me up. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Definitely nominate someone or yourself. We're excited to see you guys be part of us and helping. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that. But so interest group. So we have Team Contagion, Reversing Interest Group, and Red Team Interest Group. So if you guys are interested in any of those, Mike's the lead of Red Team Interest Group. Luke Christian's the lead of Team Contagion, who's not here, but Brad Campbell is also the lead of Reversing. I think they had their second or third meeting last night. Third? Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
So if you're interested in the Red Team Interest Group, join us on IG Tech Pen Testing on Slack. Also, if you're interested in the Red Team side of it, we also have the Social Engineering channel, but that's more of a shitpost right now. So.
Yeah.
Note about the Reversing. The Reversing Club has been, well, they streamed their last meeting, so like this meeting, if you can't make it, their meetings will show up on the YouTube channel, so you can check it out or use it as a reference.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, one other note for red teaming. We aren't the official red team for our events, so don't come to us thinking that if you join the interest group, you're going to immediately be on like IRSec red team. We're just doing red teaming things.
Doesn't mean you can't be part of both, though, if you're good enough. Yeah. Also, this flag right here, that's 10 points for coming to meeting. We understand that some people can't come to meeting or can't always come to meeting. If you go to any of those, so if you go to CTF weekend, if you go to the reversing meeting, if Red Team starts to have a meeting, if you go to those, you can get the flag there too. It's 10 points throughout the week, so you don't get more if you get, what?
Hack Night and Sparsa.
That's right, and Hack Night and Sparsa, next top. So shout out to them. That's Joel, that's...
I'm not Joel, I'm
Sorry, that's Joe. Joe. I haven't slept much. But that's Joe. He's the president of Next Hop. They meet Tuesdays 6 to 8. Say hi, Joe.
Hi, that's why I stood up.
Joe, you want to say anything else about your club?
Yeah, we're the Networking and Systems Administration Club. A lot of what's being covered this week, very similar to what we do. We're actually probably going to get into some of the similar, less security-related things that are not the next build at night, but the build at night after that. So if that sort of stuff tickles your fancy, come talk to me. Go to our website, nextstop.network. Get some more information.
Yeah. And Mike is not here, right?
No, but
Cool. But he's the vice president, so you can talk to him.
So Sparsa is a security research club. It meets right after our C3. I think I've seen a lot of you guys there, but if you've never heard of it, come check it out. We got pizza. Basically, it's a student-run club. We just all do research presentations and talk about cool things and breaking shit. So if that sounds interesting to you, come check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, so without further ado, quick disclaimer, anything you learn in the presentation, you know, for educational purposes only. We hold no responsibility for the bad stuff you do. Don't be dumb. Don't be a dick. You've been warned. Cool.
Sweet. All right, so this week we're going to talk about some core services that you would find on pretty much any network, most networks, well, and the one that you probably don't find, but we'll get into that. So, what is a service? A service on Linux, what we typically are talking about is a process, and this is a process that runs independent of a logon. So, when you start up the box, it's running, and you don't have to log in and like start it manually. Once it's set up and ready to go, whenever the box is on, the service is running. So SSH is a pretty common example of this. Kind of makes sense that you don't need to be logged on for this to run because this is how you actually log in to some of your boxes. So we sometimes call them daemons. So what does that mean? So in Linux, you have when the system starts, something has to start first. So there's an init process. And then from that, every other process is branched off of that and is a child of that. So it's a hierarchy, as we've seen in a lot of stuff. There's parents and children. So everything starts from this one process, that's process ID 1, and then runs from there. So you need some way to control these services. So typically you're using something called systemd. Its syntax is fairly straightforward. You start, stop. You can check the status of the different services you have running, and you can also enable and disable them, and that basically means when it's enabled that it starts when the box starts, and when it's disabled you have to manually start it. Okay. Ooh, we've got a question. Hang on. Never mind, we don't have any questions. So when you have a service, you're probably going to want to do some sort of configuration to it and make it work how you need to, either set up a default port or change some configurations. And we're going to hopefully teach you this week how to do this properly, or at least some stuff not to do. So most of the configs are in the etc directory, typically etc and then the name of the service, and then a config file within there. So for example, with ssh/etc, ssh/sshd_config. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to find. As long as you know the service you're trying to configure, should be pretty easy to set that up. Yeah, and I guess I should note, sometimes there's a D or a .d in the name, and that's just denoting that what you're working with is a daemon and a service and not just a normal process. Feel free to, if anyone has questions, please pipe up. All right, so we're going to go over all of these services. Obviously, there are lots and lots and lots of services. These are some that I picked out as being kind of core. You'll see them a lot of places. So let's just jump in. We're going to start with DNS. I'm just going to give a quick disclaimer. There's a net services class. Most of you, if not all of you, have to take it. It takes half a semester to talking about DNS. I'm going to try to cover it on basically one slide. So there's a lot that I'm not going to talk about, but hopefully I can give you like a kind of basic understanding. So for those that don't know, DNS is kind of like the internet phone book. I like to think about it. It's a mapping of names to IP addresses, basically. So you can remember something easily, like google.com, instead of 172.217.714. Like, why would you want to remember that? Google, that's super easy, right? So there's two kinds of DNS servers, or two ways that lookups can work. There's iterative and recursive, and basically what that means is you ask a question, and if the server does all the work for you, we call that recursive. So you ask, so say you're sitting at home and you want to go to Google. You send a DNS request. You say, what's the IP address of Google? And your little router thingy box, if you like, Weissman will complain about it's like the multi-box, whatever. But we're gonna call that the router. It also does DNS lookups for you, and that will do all the work for you. So you request that, you're like, hey, what's Google? And then it goes and it asks the root server. So it's a hierarchy again. So there's something called the root servers, and those keep track of the top level domains, so like your .coms and your .nets, and those delegate down, so they know where the servers that know about .com. So it's basically just this whole game of like, I know who can tell you the next thing. So your home DNS server will go follow this whole path and return it back to you. An iterative server, so for example, the root servers aren't going to do the lookups for you. So they're just going to be like, okay, I can tell you where the next person in this tree is going to be. Go ask them. So that's an example of iteration. So you have to do all the work. But fortunately for you on your computer, someone's always doing the work for you. But it's still something good to know. And then there are several different types of records. There's the A records, which is the typical one, the example I've been giving, which is the name to IP address. There's something called a C name, which is basically another name for the same thing. So you can have www.rc3.club and web.rc3.club pointing to the same thing, and you do that through a C name. Anything else that's important here? Oh, your mail. So for a domain, you have a mail record, and that tells people, when people want to send you mail, it tells them where your mail server is, so that the mail will actually get to you. And so there are tools that can help you with DNS. The probably best one is called Dig. I don't have any like examples of it. Just look it up. It's in the man page. It's probably installed. Should be installed. It's very helpful. It helps you do all these different queries. You can set specific name servers to use. So if you want to use, for example, Google runs some DNS servers. The most famous one is quad 8, 8.8.8.8. That's a DNS server you can use whenever you want. It'll if your DNS server is being wonky or you don't trust your DNS server for whatever reason, you can use that. So you can specify with Dig, for example, you can say use this one instead of my current one to do this lookup for me. So SSH, we talk about this pretty much every week. It's the better telnet, which we'll get to. Even though it has secure in the name, that doesn't mean it's inherently secure. There are some options that you probably have to turn on, but you can mess it up and make it less secure. So here's an example of some of them. You can turn off root login, so you can't log in as root, or you can make it so you can only log in with public keys and you don't use passwords, which is debatably more secure. X11 forwarding is pretty cool. That lets you take a GUI application on the server and display it on your client machine. So for example, if for some reason your laptop doesn't have Firefox installed and the server does, you can make Firefox like show up on your computer. I think an actual example of this is in our concepts of computing class. You have to use their circuits program thing to do some of the homeworks, and that's installed on the CS machines, but you can do this X11 forwarding and have it show up on your computer, so you don't need to go to the labs to do it. You can do it from home. It's actually pretty helpful. The banner, that's not really secure. Well, it's not really a security thing, but it's kind of a cool feature. It's a way when you can. Yes, Joe?
Just shake my head. Well, it's good for like statutory stuff. So if you want to put in, hey, only authorized people are able to get in on this server, you throw it in that banner, and it'll show up when people log in.
It's definitely more like a legal or like policy.
Sure. Yeah. So you can set a message, like they're saying, you can set a message so when people connect, they get this message. You can put disclaimers or what have you. Yeah. And then these last two options have to do with keyed authentication. As I talked about before, you can set up SSH to use keys instead of passwords. You can actually set it up to use both. That just adds some security to your connections. So this is alluding to this last week's challenge, FTP. It's by itself not really secure. You'll probably see if you, I think there's a couple labs in various classes that you do where you just do normal FTP and you can see everything that happens. You open up Wireshark, you can, if someone transfers a file, you can just like right click, like, yep, extract that, thanks, and then there you go. So usually what you want to do is you want to wrap it in SSH, so it's SFTP. That's a lot better. That's probably a first place to start. Some other misconfigurations or possible problems you can have with FTP. The first one, anonymous login. This isn't always bad, but it can be bad. So for example, if they just want to have a share and they know that what they have, they want people to be able to access, they probably just turn on anonymous FTP. So for example, I think like the GNU Foundation has some of their packages are just on an anonymous FTP server. You can just connect to it. You can literally connect to it from Chrome and just download whatever they have. But if you have files and information that you want to be kept private, you probably want to turn this off. Some other options you can set, there's choning and chmodding, however you want to say it. Basically, you can have your FTP server change the ownership of files that get uploaded. Sometimes you see this, like everything that gets uploaded gets suddenly turned into being owned by root. That's kind of bad, usually. And then the permissions as well, you can change the permissions. So if you can upload something that gets made executable, you can upload like your malware and then it can get run. And that's probably not what you want to happen on your FTP server. And then the bottom thing here is chrooting. Does anybody not know what that is? Because I didn't really explain it. Okay, so chrooting is how we talked about with the file tree hierarchy. Is you have your root directory, your slash, and then beneath that everything else kind of comes underneath it. So what chrooting is it's making an arbitrary folder act as the root. So you can't go, when you first log in, you get dumped in that folder and you can't go above it. So say there's a folder in /home/ohan/FTP, and that's where the FTP server dumps you. You can't go into /home/ohan for the actual system because the root for you is that FTP folder in my home directory. All right, email. This is super duper old, but everybody uses it. We'll talk about it a little bit. The main thing we want to talk about here is open relays. What that is it's a server that you can just tell to send mail for you, and it will happily. RIT does this. Anyway, internally only, I should say, but they do. It's kind of, you can. Anyway, look into that on your own. And then, yeah. So, as Mike was saying, you can use this for social engineering. If someone leaves their mail server open, you can pretend to be somebody else. You literally just type in, you're like, I want to send this message from company CEO or department head Bill Wan, whoever, and you can just send it to whoever you want, and then it looks, well, RIT spam filter kind of picks this up.
Reiteration of our disclaimer, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. But you could, and we're here to educate you. You can also do a full mailbox attack, which is basically just a denial of service. You overflow a mailbox, then it doesn't work anymore. Oh, also kind of a fun note about email is it only supports ASCII characters. So when you attach something, it actually gets like base 64 encoded and then tacked on the end. Just kind of neat. All right. So this is kind of a messy slide, sorry. This is the remote desktoping slide. So you can, similar to X11, you can actually do a full remote desktop session. So you can connect, a lot of you have probably done this or seen it happen. For example, something kind of like TeamViewer or like Log Me In maybe. So it just gives you like full, or just like Windows remote desktop, just gives you full remote access to the box that you're on. So it it transmits everything. So like your desktop, your background, your icons, all of that comes across. So it's a little bit more, has a higher latency than like SSH. Is there a question? Sorry. Oh, okay. So yeah, there's like 3 that are pretty common to use. RDP, VNC. I don't have a whole lot more to say about this. All right, so DHCP, this is the other half of net services. Again, I only have 1 slide, so I can't cover everything. You'll learn a lot more about it if you take that class. Basically, it's a way for assigning host configuration dynamically, so you don't have to do, so your sysadmins don't have to do everything statically, don't have to go every box. If someone brings their laptop from home, first time on the network, you have to go call the sysadmin and be like, hey, like I need an IP address. That's terrible. So we have something like this, makes everything a lot easier. There's the DORA process, which is basically the exchange of how addresses are assigned when a host is on the network. It basically just yells out, it's like, hey, is there any DHCP servers? I need an address. Give me, please. And then hopefully there is one, and it's like, hey man, this one's free. And then the client's like, I'll take it. And then the server's like, cool, you got it. It's basically how it goes in like 30 seconds. There's also 4 more message types that aren't on here. They are not NAC, or like not acknowledge, decline. So if for some reason you don't want the IP address that the server sent you, you can decline it. You can release. So if you're done with an IP address for whatever reason, you can issue a release. You're saying, I don't need this anymore. DHCP has a pool. They have pools of addresses. So the server needs to know which ones are available and which ones aren't. So if you have one, you don't need it anymore, you issue a release, then the server knows that they can give that to somebody else. And finally, there's an inform for sending other information about clients back to the server. So databases, there's a lot of them. Just going to mention 2 of them here, MySQL and Mongo. Those are typically 2 of the most popular, schema-based and schema-less, if that matters. So some of the common poor configurations you'll see around this. First of all, not sanitizing input, especially with SQL. You'll see stuff like SQL injection. We'll talk about this a little bit more in our web week, because you often see this along with web servers. So week 5, that's 2 weeks from now, come back, we'll talk more about this. And also something really common you see is people just not putting passwords on their databases or putting really bad ones. And that's a theme you'll see across pretty much all services, is the people are the problem. You'll hear that a lot in this major.
Equifax got hacked by a username and password of admin.
So yeah, you can set all the proper configs, lock everything down the best you can in the configs and the services, but if you have some idiot coming in and setting their password to admin or admin password or admin no password at all, like, what are you gonna do? So I linked one article, there's tons of them, as Joel said, Equifax as well, poor passwords. So yeah, and you'll see this with other services, not just databases. This can happen with SSH, this can happen with FTP, this can happen with RDP, basically everything. People are always putting terrible passwords on. It's like, you can't, we can tell you to put good passwords, but at the end of the day, they just want it to work. Something they can remember, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is like the most common password. Something you can do is set good password policies though, if you can. For example, like on AD, you can have password complexity requirements, so hopefully people aren't just doing like, I mean, they'll still have bad passwords like summer 2017 with like an exclamation point and a capital S will probably get you through most password requirements, but it's at least something you can try to do to help negate this if you're some sort of sysadmin or security personnel within an organization. So file shares, this is kind of like FTP, but you can actually like mount the drive on your computer. I'm trying to think if we have an example of this. Is there, does anyone know? Is there an example of this at school? Like file shares? Okay. Did I? Oh, thank you. I did skip a slide. All right. Quickly about web. As I said before, we have a week dedicated to web. It's week 5. Come back. As I quickly talked about, SQL injection, port input sanitation in general is a common thing you'll see with web, so also XSS. There's also something you can set permissioning, especially with like Apache, with something called there's some HT files, and they govern access for directories and files on a web server. Those can be misconfigured, so that's something else you have to look out for. You can actually set, if you didn't know, RIT gives everybody free web hosting under the people.rit.edu/tilde and then your DCE. That's like your, for me, it's like OXF8582. You can, whatever your email is, you have a website there that you can put stuff to. The server, if you want to add stuff to it, I believe the name is banjo.rit.edu. Go to log in, you can throw whatever web content you want up there. So you can actually set your htaccess files on there. So if you have stuff that you don't want certain people to see or anybody to see, you're playing around testing, you can set this file to deny certain people or everybody the view access to that certain directory. And then with web, if you allow file uploads, that can be quickly a disaster. But we'll talk about that more in a couple weeks. All right, back to file shares. Basically, it lets you. There's a hard. So the quick version is the.
So
yes,
say you are a really fancy person and you love to watch movies on your TV and back up your computer and all this crazy stuff, but you don't trust anybody, so you want to do it all locally. Well, how do you do that? Something like a NAS, a network attached storage. And so basically you have a bunch of drives, you put them on your network, and then somehow you back up your stuff to it. And the way that you do that is mount it to your computer just over the network. So like Samba or SMB or NFS, stuff like that is how you would mount like a drive over your network. And then you can just like throw files in there and get them from any of your other devices, or have your NAS hooked up to a Raspberry Pi that's connected to your TV and then stream movies from there and stuff like that.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it. It makes it so it looks like when you go to like my computer or something, it looks like there's another hard drive basically plugged into your computer, but it's networked. It's somewhere else on the network or a network. All right, so the T word or telnet, just don't use it. Again, this is something you'll see in a lot of labs here as a demonstration tool. Everything happens in plain text. Use SSH. We have to put it on here because you will see it occasionally. Occasionally, networking gear will have this used. Basically, the only two things I can think of that Telnet's actually good for is connecting to tal.blinkenlights.ml. That's pretty cool. If you haven't done that, go do that. And then uninstall Telnet right away. You can also send email with it. I recommend looking that up because that's pretty cool. Combined with the Open Relay thing, you can actually use Telnet to send email. It's kind of neat.
Good way to manage your whole web server.
Yeah, no. All right, enough of Telnet. Get this off here. So we just covered a bunch of services. You might be thinking, where do I start? What do I do with all this information? So to take advantage of port configurations, you have to know what services are running so you can see if they're actually configured poorly. So once again, we're going to turn to Nmap. You can use the SV flag, which is kind of a service identification scan. So it will try to figure out what services are running. It'll look at the ports, and then it'll grab stuff like banners to see if it can figure out what version it is. For example, like I think SSH has the version typically right there. It's just like OpenSSH 2.2.6 or whatever it happens to be. So it looks for stuff like that so it can give you better information so you can make more informed decisions about the services and the way that you're going to attempt to exploit them. So once you find a list of services, you're going to want to probably look them up, especially if you don't have very much experience with them. Head over to your favorite search engine, Google, DuckDuckGo, what have you, and look them up. Look up maybe just like common vulnerabilities or common misconfigurations, or even just like where the configuration is, or even how the service works. So if you have no idea, if you're like, what even is RDP, like I just want to know more about it, Google is your friend everywhere all the time. Always be looking stuff up. And remember, people are god awful at passwords. They're just so bad. So if you find a service is running, like sometimes it might just be worth trying to log in with admin. You never know. And then, yeah, just Google a lot, push some buttons, do the stuff. Yeah. Here's some more resources, how DNS works. Again, net services, DNS is covered for approximately half a semester, and we don't really cover everything. So you can always learn more. Namecheap's having a sale. You want some more C2 domains, 48 cents for a year. Go ham. Why not free? I don't know. All right, you can do that too. So yeah, here's some resources. Always do some. I always recommend we only have an hour. I can only cover so much. I only know so much. So if you're curious about something, ask us, look it up and ask us. Ask somebody else. Ask a professor. Come here to learn. We try to give you as much as we can, but we also, if you want to get the most out of this, you're going to do stuff outside of this meeting and outside of this room. So are there any more questions or any questions at all? There's nothing. Are there actually questions? No, there's nothing. There's no.
Oh, okay.
I've been looking at it. So we're going to do a quick review of the previous week. I know a lot of people were I think we had 4 people solve the hard.
I can tell you. Who thinks they got close with the hard? Who thinks they got somewhere with the hard? 4 people solved.
Who really hates me for the hard?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, you were right with 4.
Yeah. So does anybody else, is there any other challenges people would like to see how they were done? Easy 2?
3.
Please do easy 3 to show.
Okay.
All right. Easy 2, easy 3, and hard. Is that good?
That's
all right.
it? Okay. Cool.
Rip my immune system. Thanks, Susan.
Easy 2,
I'm
easy
sweating so
3,
much.
and hard. Oh, okay. Never mind. I guess it's mirrored. Okay. So, easy 2, or whatever. The stupid port scanning one, right? Yeah. Okay.
Who's
So.
pissed about this one?
Yeah. I got a lot of people messaging me, and they were like, "Hey Joel, I scanned all the ports," and I was like, "Did you really?" And they were like, "Yeah, I did." You know, there's TCP and UDP. So just because you scan all the ports doesn't mean you scanned all the protocols. This flag was split across both TCP and UDP across 5 different ports. So the TCP ones were 22228888 and 1337. So let me do a quick scan there. And if you really want to see, we can NC to 1337, 2222. You see those? And and 8888. And then the last 2 that seem to be phantom flags for a lot of people. UDP 993 and 44801. So if I NC-U, now this is where a lot of people also got stuck, is that they said that they connected with -U and nothing happened. You have to remember that UDP is connectionless. So right now, I'm where a lot of you got stuck. You have to press enter, because how does UDP know that you're there? It doesn't. TCP, you have a TCP handshake, right? Sends and ACK. UDP, it's just there. It sends data, it receives data, but there is no order of packets. There's no guarantee that the packets get there, and there's no guarantee that packets get back. So you have to initialize something so it knows you're there. Otherwise, it has no idea. And same thing with 44801. So that was easy 3 or 2. Wasn't really easy, sorry. Yeah, what was the next one?
Easy 3.
Easy 3.
The IP tables.
Ah, right. So tables. Who can list some kinds of tables, especially in regards to Linux? IP tables. Ding, ding, ding. So, IP tables. If I SSH RC3 user at week, RC3 week 2, oh, do I? Cool. So, IP tables,
-L. You might notice it yells at you, so you need to do sudo. I made it so you could do that. There's a handy-dandy little comment here. Almost there. There are multiple tables with IP tables for different types of routing. So this is just your default like input, output, forward chains, but there's also a table specifically for NAT, and that's where the flag was hidden. And in addition to that, there was also a little sneak peek into hard with redirecting from port 52 or where is this? I think inbound, no, destination 52433 to local 7331. So now let's talk about hard, because do you guys all get medium one, the FTP one? Yeah.
That's really useful for Docker. Docker does weird things with that.
With IP tables?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so like if you do IP tables with -L by default, you may have noticed that nothing was there except for certain things, and you had to add -T nat to see the rest of the rules that were in there. So always be checking, because if you do IP tables -F, I don't think that it actually flushes the NAT table either. I believe it only flushes the normal one. So medium one real quick, FTP and a bunch of other random garbage. So if I filter by FTP and FTP data, or FTP data.
thanks, Joe.
There's a whole bunch of cool stuff here, but this is the important one, and you can't actually really see it, but it's
Or you can just follow the stream.
it's right there. Yeah, you could also follow the stream. Either of those work. And then
Show following.
what?
Show following the stream, because we didn't actually.
Oh yeah. So if you want to like, say you wanted to know where this was, right? And you just had this, you can right click on something like FTP and then follow TCP stream, and you'll see like this is all the FTP data. So like this is what your FTP client and the FTP server are sending back and forth to each other. So you know that there's a file like flag.txt, and if we do FTP or FTP data,
You can just change streams.
yeah, but I don't know the stream number, so.
It doesn't matter. You just click through slowly forward.
Okay, we'll do it this way. So, stream, that one. Ta-da. Okay, now, hard. Let me just start off by saying I'm sorry. This challenge was like hell, yeah. That's a good way to describe it. So I put together a little filter here to make this easier for myself, but if you remember from the IP tables thing, we were going to port 7331, and the hint was look for some patterns or sequences. And you may have noticed there's a whole bunch of random data. That was all from devu random, thanks. So this filter basically says check that the source of the traffic is from localhost, that the port is greater than 7330 and less than 7337, and not ICMP to make it clean. Now we have this handy little chunk of data. You may notice scrolling through, there's some weird, like, sort of strings, like flag, kinda, and like, sort of like readable, like who wrote this crap? That was me, hi. So, there is a sequence to this. If you look at the port numbers, the destination port numbers, it's starting at 7331, 1337 backwards, and going by parts, and it's sending the same amount of data every time, 88 bytes. So, starting with 7331, what if I just take this data and I copy it, and I go into a Python interpreter. So this was my data in raw bytes, so to speak. And the hint, now if anybody had actually gotten this before the hint went out, I probably would have shaken your hand, because wow, because there was like nothing. I didn't give you anything on this. This was just some kind of like homegrown crypto that I put together, which isn't really crypto. I just XOR'd the 2 bytes next to each other. So like this one XORed with this one gives you your output. So if I say x parts equals dot split this x parts, I have a whole bunch of data here and chr. You know, I actually have a script that does this already, so I'm gonna open it, make my life easier.
We were totally supposed to get this.
It's like you made it.
Yeah, it's like I made it or something. So like I said, if somebody actually got this, I would have been really impressed. So here's the Decrypt thing. This is some Python magic, but basically it just takes the data, splits it, XORs them together. So I'm just gonna copy this, make things faster so I don't run out of time. So now I have a function decrypt. So let me take that data that I copied earlier and copy the value. So there's two parts to this data, and I print out both of them. Technically speaking, there is the key that is XORing the data, and then there is the XORed result. So I'm printing out the key, and I'm printing out the XORed result, and you have to piece things back together after you do that. And I split it across both the key and the data, like the resulting data. So starting at 7331, there's those two. This is gonna be those 7333. Oh, don't do that. Yeah, you'll see things start to come together, and like this is not actually part of the flag. That's 7334. Whoops. What if none of it's real? It is real, unfortunately. Sorry. Again. 7335, and you may have noticed like the port was changing. Somebody was like, I think it was Ryan. Ryan was like, why would the port be changing? Just to mess with you. Honestly, there was no real purpose to that. That was just to piss you off. There was only a couple people, and it was only after they got the hint about XOR. So now you may notice this seems kind of interesting. And there's only one more, so I'll just do that because we still have like 8 minutes.
So Ryan got it, Jason got it, Sandra got it, and Duck got it. So 4 people.
Okay. So I'm going to open my HandyDandy text editor here and make it a lot bigger so that people can see. How's that? Yeah. Yeah? Cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So you may notice as you see it as like a whole, things start to come together here a little bit. So basically RC3 hard 1 protocol standards are lame, and then you have who said a flag was in here? Is it in here or not? Who knows? Is this the flag? Oh no. Is this the flag? It might be, but how can you even know? What if none of this is real and it's all? Oh wait, I meant. Yeah, might be. There we go. A decoy flag. Who even knows? Honestly, there might be one, but if there is, how can you even know? What if none of this is real and it's all? I think I'm missing part of it. But yeah, no. Yeah. There's a little bit of. See. in the past and kind of like these past couple weeks, I've heard some feedback that challenges weren't quite hard enough, or it was really easy and then kind of challenging. So I kind of just decided to say fuck it and go crazy. And I got some interesting feedback. A lot of people seem to enjoy the annoyance for some reason. So maybe you're all masochists, not me. But
way to redirect.
Way to redirect that UDP response. It's there. It is. Sounds like a total masochist. Yep. So yeah, really, there wasn't any way for you to know this until you got the hint. But if you did get it, that would be pretty crazy. So now I just know all of you are bad at crypto. But yeah. Any questions?
Kyle. To be like good at Python.
If you want to be good at Python, there's a handy dandy talk I'm giving at Sparsa in like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, about how to use Python. Because, hold on, is anybody from the CS department in here? Do you mind if I yell obscenities? The way that CS department teaches Python is fucking stupid. Alright? Like, okay. Everybody who walks in, sorry,
the stream.
Almost everybody who walks in to CS1 comes out being like, wow, I sure hate Python. And that's because they really don't do a great job of helping you like Python. So, yes, Joe.
Aren't these meetings streamed and then put on the internet?
They sure are. So, yep. So if there's no challenge next week, it's because I don't go here anymore. That's yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. So kind of quick show of hands. Do you guys like what this shit show was, or do you want to go back to what you know?
So same toughness, just more direction.
Yeah, but
more
like
places to go. That's fair.
Okay, so I guess there's three options: more harder, more self-pain; less harder, more learning; or happy balance. Happy balance.
Stick your computer back.
I need to plug. So I didn't plan this like perfectly. I need to come back and show you like 3 more slides.
Oh yes, this is important. Listen to him, not me.
I don't know.
I'll get you kicked out of school.
Yeah. Please hold. Please don't show everything. That's all.
You're done for. You're about to show all the flags live.
Yeah, I know. Help! All right, we're pretty close. Are there presenter notes? I don't know.
Present.
I think it'll be fine. All right. Thanks to Joel. More fun coming soon. We want to say thank you to our sponsors. As we mentioned last week, we just picked up SIG. So we currently have 2 platinum, 1 gold, and then Draper is our educational supporter. Someone tell me what that means. They give us stuff that helps us educate. Right. Not money, but it's super helpful. So you probably want to know about this week's demo. This is important for this week. We have another host. The DNS is right there, week3.rc3.club. Apparently you need to be on RIT's network because firewalls.
So this is an AWS. Please don't break the box, please, because
Ben.
There was a very long sleepless night setting that up, and it's not quite where it should be right now. It's kind of janky, so just don't break it, please. If you break it, tell me after you break it so I can go back and fix it. And tell me what you did, please, so I can fix it. Because everybody's using the same box.
Or in mesh or star.
You probably can't do that, but if you can, you should let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you have a question?
I did snapshot it. I almost broke it when I snapshotted it. It's fine.
All right.
Everything's fine. This is fine.
A couple more notes about the demo this week. There is a medium 2 or 3, a medium 3 that isn't done yet.
Medium 2.
Medium 2. Hopefully we'll get it done like this weekend, and since everything's out in the cloud, it'll just show up. We'll send out an email or at least something in Slack.
Yeah. Or on the Facebook group.
I fixed it.
Yeah, the demo channel demo help channel in Slack. If you have questions, or DM someone in these jerseys.
What's up, Brian?
Alright, so this week's hard challenge.
This week's art challenge is not as hard as last week's art challenge.
We're still not getting a hint until Thursday.
You'll get a hint. Yes.
Probably not.
Find it in the newsletter.
The only thing I'll
Make sure to open
say
it.
is be observant.
Yep.
Because typically when I put these things together, I leave little breadcrumbs, or usually one breadcrumb, and sometimes it gets eaten by a bird and sometimes it doesn't, so it's kind of up to you to figure out if it's still there.
Yeah, one final clarification. We have the demo help channel for questions about the demo. It makes our lives a little bit easier. If you have problems with the website itself, there's a separate channel for that. So if it's like not taking your flag or just straight up broken, try to put in, it's fine, I'll read them anyway, but it helps us a little bit more stay organized if you can use the channels for demo help, for demos, and the site one for site stuff.
Yeah, so if you aren't sure that you have the right flag,
the site will tell you.
You'll never have to guess a flag. I've made it, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you'll never have to guess a flag, and it's always self-evident which one it's for. I've put the like easy 2, easy 1 in front of at the front of each flag, so you don't have to guess. And if you have questions about the demo in general, you can either, and I prefer it this way, if you phrase it in a way that doesn't give off hints to other people, put it in demo help, because somebody might have run into the same problem you had, and if I can address it at the same time, that would make my life easier. And like Ohan said, if something's wrong with the site, like I said, you shouldn't have to guess a flag, so it should be pretty obvious when you have one. And if you put it in and it says it's wrong, and it says like easy 2, and you're putting it in the easy 2 box and it still doesn't work, then go to site discussion.
Or message Bryson.
Or message Bryson.
Yell at him.
And if you want to be like, hey Joel, is this the right flag? Because you might have like mixed up parts or something. Just send me a DM in that case. Don't put the flag in the channel, please.
But one more thing, we try to help you, but we also don't want to just we want to help you, but we don't want to hold your hand all the way to the flag.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you may have noticed like people were like, hey, are there hints for the hard flag? And I just say nope and send you an emoji. And
like we're not being mean. We're just trying to have a spirit of fair competition and help you guys learn. So sometimes if you ask us a question, I'm just gonna be like no, or like I can't answer that, or like if you're just asking me like is it this, is it that, I'm not gonna answer that. If you have like a specific question about a certain part, then you can ask it, or like Joel said, if you have a way that you can phrase it and that it won't give away anything else, do that publicly so that everybody can get helped out.
And just assume like any knowledge is too much knowledge. So just be like, for easy 2, do I need to not do the thing? And then I'll probably send you a direct message and say, I have no idea what you mean.
That wasn't it.
We'll just have that flag.
I think that's it.
Yeah. All right, thanks guys. Let us know your feedback with the type form, especially like about the last week's challenge, about how club meetings are going, anything you want. You can do it anonymously. You can do it not anonymously. Yeah, cool.
Or just yell at us in Slack if you don't want to use Typeform.
Or in real life.
Typeform is really pretty.
You don't want to use Slack.
Use Typeform.
Shut up about
really
Typeform. All right, that's the end of the presentation. Good luck with the demo. We'll be here. Jess, Joe Graham.
I was going to clap, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, clap.
Go ahead.
We can take it shit.
So air gap, as always, is reserved for you guys.
Did we fix that?
What? Yeah.
Did we move our block? No.
It's reserved for you guys. So if you guys have a laptop with a Kali VM on it, head over to air gap if you want, or stay here if there's a seat for you, or just stay and sit on the ground.
I kind of forgot to talk about that. If you don't have a Kali Linux VM installed and VMware, if you don't have...
One more thing.
If you don't have VMware installed and Kali, talk to one of us or just install it. It's pretty much...